Welcome to the good, the bad, and the ugly of Ohio State's 14-7 win over Texas edition of the OHIO podcast. Do us a big favor if you don't mind, everybody, and smash that like button. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel, ring the bell, get notified every time we go live. And of course, let us know what you think about what we think down in the comments section below. So it's been a little over 24 hours since Ohio State defeated Texas 14-7 to kick off the 2025 season inside the Horseshoe in Columbus, Ohio. It was a great defensive game. There's a lot to be excited about if you're an Ohio State fan. There's a lot to be frustrated about if you enjoy offensive football from that game. Obviously, I think if you're a Texas fan and you're watching this, I think you're going to be just fine. That is a championship caliber defense, and I think you need that. There's going to be some growing pains offensively with your team. Such is the same with Ohio State and their new starting quarterback as well. But I thought that was definitely a top level college football game to kick off the season. I think there was two of those yesterday. I think Clemson, LSU, Ohio State, Texas, all four of those teams are CFP caliber football teams based off of what my eyeballs saw in those football games. But we're talking about Ohio State nonetheless, and we're talking about the good, the bad, and the ugly. So, number one, let's dive into the good. Let's be a positive Buckeye fan here in this episode. Number one, I think the defensive scheme was fantastic. Um, hats off. That was a fantastic defensive scheme by Patricia. I thought he had a new quarterback in Manning, Arch Manning, very confused with especially what the defensive backs were doing, what coverage were they in. He didn't know. I thought that some of the pressure that they got through different disguising of where the blitz was going to be coming from. That looked very good, especially in the second, at the end of the game there when the game was on the line. Uh, I think Matt Patricia definitely. I think he definitely gave a lot of Buckeye fans who were questioning that hire some calms. He calmed some of their nerves with that defensive game. And again, eight new starters on that side of the football, and they didn't miss a beat. And the goal line stance was very reminiscent of what we saw all season last year from Ohio State. So, yeah, I think that was definitely one of the good. The defensive backfield play was fantastic. When you have one of the best safeties, if not the best safety in all of college football, and Caleb Downs, and then you put other athletes around him who were highly recruited, developed guys who are just waiting for their opportunity to start, that's the results that you're going to get. The way that they can move Downs around in that backfield, put him up at the line of scrimmage, put him in the nickel, almost like a third linebacker at times. And then you just never know where he's going to line up. There's a lot of different moving parts to that secondary that is going to be a lot of trouble for quarterbacks this season. That was very interesting to watch. Definitely a good yesterday. Although his numbers weren't fantastic in his first start, let's be honest, going up against one of the better defenses in college football in your first start is no easy task. I think Julian Sain looked pretty good yesterday. He didn't make a big mistake. He was calm. He was cool. He was collective. His composure was great. And I think for the most part, he commanded the huddle. It didn't help. Some of his guys were dropping just perfect throws. There was a drop by Max Clare that would have been a first down. I believe Jeremiah Smith, had a rare drop. Actually, I think he had two yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. Now, the second one I don't think would have made a difference, but still, it was like, dude, you guys are dropping first down catches here, guys. So that didn't help, but he kept his composure and he did enough to win the football game. And that's all that we were asking from him to do was don't make a big mistake. Just, kind of be the point guard out there, distribute the ball, and just lead the team. And he did exactly what he was asked to do in game number one. I think as his experience and game reps increase, as Brian Hartline gets more experience calling plays, it's only going to get better from here. So the little things I saw from Julian Sain yesterday was important to me. That was a part of the good. And then finally, let's talk about you all, Buckeye Nation, the fans, the atmosphere. Fantastic. And for a noon kick, noon kicks are just they're boring. You should they hurt recruiting, but that was fantastic yesterday. Atmosphere. So hats off to the fans. They were loud all game long. They were super loud in the fourth quarter, and the defense definitely fed off of that. So great job. Hats off to Buckeye Nation. Let's talk about some of the bad, shall we? I didn't see much of a pass rush, or excuse me, I didn't see much of a push up front in the running game from the offensive line. I thought they did a really good job in pass blocking, but I expected this offensive line to make some holes for the running game. And not saying they didn't make some holes, but this was not what we saw in the college football playoff. And a lot and some of them from some of the same guys who came back. Um, and we were expecting more from. It's early. I get that. Chemistry with an offensive line as the season goes on, they're only going to get better again. But I expected a little bit more. And caveat here, that was probably the best defensive line they're going to have to block all year. So there's that as well. We might come out in the next 3 or 4 games and it looks like this offensive line was night and day compared. And again, that's competition level. So so I want to put a little carrot in here, a little asterisk. No offense, Michigan fans, but I want to put a little asterisk in here. That competition level might have contributed to some of that. All right, continuing on with the bad. The Buckeye running backs only managed 77 yards total. Now, it wasn't as bad as Clemson last night, who only managed, I think, 31 total rushing yards yesterday against LSU. But that is not what we are used to in Columbus, Ohio. And so that's got to get better. And the first two go hand in hand with the push from the offensive line, 77 total yards rushing the football. That's got to get better. Those backs got to get better. That sometimes those holes aren't going to be as big, and they're going to need to create some of uh, their own yards after contact and things of that nature to make up some of the difference. So again, probably the best front seven they're going to see all year. So that could add to that as well. And then not much of a pass rush against the poor Texas O line. We were talking about it. We were told about it. The Texas offensive line was their biggest concern, and our biggest concern as a podcast was, will our defensive line be able to get a pass rush? They did really well against the run for the most part, especially on the goal line. But we just didn't see the dominance from that defensive line that we saw at the end of last season. I think they're going to need to be a little bit more creative in how they get a pass rush. But let's, and again, I don't know how much of this is, did we underestimate our defensive line? Excuse me, did we underestimate Texas's offensive line? And did we overestimate our defensive line a little bit? Because, a lot of people are talking about, hey, this defensive line is going to be just as good as last year. That is not the case that from what we saw yesterday. So will they get better? Sure. Can they get better? We need them to. But overall, I feel very confident that there were several factors in that one. I'm more confident about the first two getting fixed than I am that one. That one's a little bit more of a concern to me. So there's the bad, and then the ugly. Offensive play calling at times became very predictable. Sorry, I didn't change the slide there. Offensive play calling at times became very predictable. It was Brian Hartline's first time calling plays, and it was probably the best defense he's going to try to play calls against all year. I think the game plan was to be conservative on purpose, to not make the big mistake. I'll say this. Ohio State scored 2 times. Both of those scores came on Texas's shooting themselves in the foot. The first drive when Ohio State scored 7, Texas had a couple really bad penalties to extend the drive that Ohio State capitalized on. And second, that second score came off of the interception created by the Buckeyes defense off a terrible throw by Arch Manning. So Texas had 2 bad mistakes. Ohio State capitalized on both mistakes. So I think the game plan on the offensive side of things from Ohio State was don't be the team to do what Texas did. And so mission accomplished. But my gosh, were they predictable at times what they were doing. We were sitting there on the live show go, here comes a run. Here comes a run. And it wasn't just like here comes a run and it was a jet sweep or a little pop pass or something creative. It was let's just run into the heart of the teeth of this defense. It kind of a little bit of a reminiscent of what we saw against the team from Ann Arbor last year, slightly. I will give props to the call play where Julian Sain hits Carnell Tate for the second touchdown to go up 14-0 at the time. That was massive. That was huge. It was a great call. But, so one could argue that was created because they were running the ball so much into the heart of that Texas defense. But the play calling obviously is going to get better. Again, even though this was an ugly, it really wasn't that ugly if you stop and think about it, because you did win the game in what was anticipated to be a low-scoring game, a high-level defensive game, and it's exactly what it was at the end of the day. And so, I'll take the 14 and say, good start. Then the other ugly was the Kenyatta Jackson injury. What I'm hearing is that it's not too terribly serious. I don't know that he's going to play against Grambling State in week number 2. I think that obviously if you're going to be cautious with him after that injury, this is probably the time to be cautious. I'm just speculating here, but based off the fact that they took his helmet, it kind of sounds like it could be he was concussed possibly. And so you have to be careful with those things. Losing him would be bad for this football team. Now, it does give CJ Hicks the opportunity to get more playing time, and he played really good at the end of that game. He's the one who really got in Arch's kitchen there in that last play to kind of force Arch to check it down on 4th down, and then Caleb Downs made the tackle to clean it up and win the game. So this is an opportunity for CJ Hicks. It's an opportunity for Bo Atkinson to get more playing time opposite Caden Curry, who I thought had a great game yesterday. So stinks for Kenyatta, but he needs to be 100% healthy going into the Washington game. So the next couple weeks plus a bye, he has time to make sure he's right up there, and we don't compound this injury if indeed that is what took place. But whenever a coach says we had to take his helmet, not always, but typically that has to do with a concussion. But that's what I've heard. That's what I'm speculating at this time, based off of that comment. So we'll know more. We'll know more, obviously, when Ryan Day meets with the media here in a couple days over at the Woody Hayes Athletic Center. All right. Today's Bible verse for you comes from John chapter 13, verse 15. For I have given you an example that ye should do as I have done to you. If we treat everybody the way the good Lord treats us, then this world would be a whole lot better of a place, wouldn't it? All right, guys, that's my quick little video for today. That is the good, the bad, and the ugly from Ohio State's 14-7 win over the Longhorns of Texas. Let us know what you think about what we think down in the comments section below. Did I miss anything? Do you disagree with anything? I'd love to know your thoughts. And of course, make sure you check out all of our live shows: Sunday night, 8 o'clock, Monday night, 8 o'clock, Tuesday night, 8 o'clock. Wednesday night, we have our previews at 8 o'clock. And of course, Thursday night is our new show, the Buckeye Ladies, at 8 o'clock. We have the call in show for college football Saturday morning at 10 a.m. And of course, we have our live watches this week. The live watch will be 10:30, if I'm not mistaken, as Ohio State welcomes Grambling State from, I forget what conference they're from. I know they're HBCU school. But this is going to be really cool. I'm really looking forward to this game Saturday. And it's going to be a great time, everybody. We'll do a live watch at 3:30 on Saturday as well. So go check out all of those live shows. And of course, we have videos all week long for you here on the OHIO podcast. So it really does behoove you to make sure you're subscribed to the channel, ring the bell, get notified whenever something new drops, and be a part of this great community here on the OHIO podcast. Till next time, be kind to one another. I owe someone's OH in Carmen, Ohio with all your heart. You'll know what to do. Go Bucks.